So the other day, I was on MAZDA and I was like, maybe I should try their Delrin door bushings because it looks a little bit different than my Garage Star one. All right, this is my Garage Star one. I've had this for about, about a year and a half on my car. And the shape is a little bit different than the COBALT brand from MAZDA. All right, so I'm gonna take this out of the box and show you the differences. Okay, put those guys right here. So check it out. This is the COBALT brand, and this is the Garage Star brand. The difference is, I mean, you could tell. It's slightly taller and thicker, and it has more, I guess, material on the corners too, right here, to hug the actual latch. So I'm going to show you the actual latch here. I got this straight from Mazda as well, but this is an OEM part from Mazda. All right, this is the Dovetail latch. I'm not even sure if it's really called latch, but this is basically the little cup. All right, brand new. A lot of people will kind of ignore this piece because they already have it on their car, but it's a good idea to swap these out as well because, you know, yours is probably corroded or some sort of like weird mismatched color, whatever. But this is the Moss piece, and dude, it is a, woo, did you hear that? Tight fit. Look at that bad boy. Right on there. All right, so I'm gonna show you the Garage Star one that I've had for, like I said, over a year. We're gonna use this other one. I'm gonna slap this in here. Okay, and these are both, yeah, pretty tight too. There you go. So they both slap in there. The difference is, so you can see, this one fills up the whole gap right here, this whole area, it fills it up. And I like that. I like that. Like personally, I like that better because it's more of a positive lock, less play, because when you're only engaging right here, instead of engaging throughout the whole thing, like on the MAZDA brand, the COBALT one. As you can see, this engages the whole latch itself instead of just here, and these areas right here. So that's exactly why I wanted to switch up to the COBALT one. It's a little thicker. I'm not sure if that's going to make a difference as far as, you know, closing the door itself, but we will see. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do though, because this right here, if you look closely, it's countersunk for the stock bolt. And you know me, I like to use nice hardware. So what I got on the side here is the hardware I'm going to use. All right, this is from my collection. These are all brand new. And take a closer look here. You can go to a local hardware store like HOWTO or Fastenal and buy these things, or even on Amazon. The pitch is M6 by 1.0, and the same with the washers. They're M6 washers. This is a 90-degree countersink right here, and the length is about 16 millimeters. This one's about 18 millimeters. So instead of using the factory rusted or corroded screw Phillips head bolts, we're going to be using these boys. As you can see, it looks a lot nicer. All right, but if you look closely, this thing's not really flush. All right, so we're going to hit that with a countersink tool that I have on the side right here. All right, you can get this from Home Depot because I got this set at Home Depot. So we just hit that a little bit and it should seat flush. I'll show you that here in a minute. If you're gonna swap out your bushing and your dovetail, you might as well swap out all the hardware with it. So right here I'm using the M6 1.0 by 18 millimeter with an M6 washer, and the engagement there is pretty good. I could probably go with a 20, but this is totally fine. You don't need that much anyways. And yeah, it just looks good. Will it function any better with stainless steel hardware? Probably not. It just looks really good. So we're gonna install this like so, and then we're gonna drill this guy out right here so the countersunk bolts seat properly. Because right now they're a little bit above the surface, and I don't like that. That's not a good thing. So we're gonna take our drill with our countersink tool and then our dovetail. Now, if you're not gonna replace any of your hardware, you can just ignore this part of the install, but I can't really put this on a vise right now because I don't have the proper camera angle, so I'm just gonna hold it. You don't really need much, to be honest. All right, so just run the tool like so. Like I said, you don't need too much. Clean up the backside just a tad. Okay. Here's both done. Install these guys in here. Double check. That's mighty flush. All right, let's go install this. So as you can see, this is the stock dovetail with the countersunk stainless steel bolts. Up here, same thing, countersunk stainless steel bolts. I like this whole setup. It's nice and clean, and if you're gonna swap everything out, you might as well get some fancy ones. Take these guys off. Now, the stock stuff, the regular screw, actually has some sort of washer on it. It's like a serrated washer, right? Now, you can either use blue or red Loctite to replace the washer, or the lock washer, or you could buy the serrated lock washer. I don't like the serrated lock washer because it like jacks up the finish, and I'm assuming because of cost they did that back in the day. So we're just gonna use red or blue thread lock, whatever you have. I use red because I'm not really gonna take this off again. Okay. There you go. After you remove the dovetail or the catch, wipe it down real quick. All right, nothing worse than having like a pebble behind there on nice new paint. And then grab your red thread lock or blue, whichever one you prefer. Put some thread lock on your bolt or your screw, whatever you decide to do. And then take your new dovetail right here. Make sure that the backside's clean. Okay, and you're just gonna line it up like so. All right, and then we're gonna put our new bolt in right here. You see this? Just gonna put it inside right there. And then we're just gonna hand tighten it in. Okay. Just gonna hand tighten it in here. See that it kind of auto aligns itself because the countersink holes. See, so that's nice and firm. And we're just gonna take our ratchet and singe it down. Okay, I like to go back and forth between top and bottom when I'm doing this, so I don't put too much pressure on one side. Okay, cool. There you go. Nice and solid. On the bushing side, same thing, super simple. 2 bolts or screws, depending on what you're using for hardware. Mine's 2 bolts. Nice and clean. Same thing, you don't want pebbles or anything like that behind your bushing if you just painted the car. Inspect your bushing, make sure that there's nothing behind it. I typically like to wipe it down again, and then we're just gonna install this thing. Oh, definitely don't do it this way. That would be backwards. You wanna make sure that it faces this way. Alrighty, pop these guys in. After you have this thing tightened down just a little bit, it should be able to move up and down still. All right, see that? Now we're gonna close the door. We're gonna center this real quick. We're gonna close the door slowly, let this auto align with the dovetail, and then we can tighten it down and we should be done. So we're gonna close this slowly till it catches the actual bushing. There you go, it looks like it caught. And just very slow. Okay, now that it's caught, now I could visually inspect it. We're gonna close it a little bit harder. There you go. Now that this thing's nice and flush, everything, inspect the door line right here, make sure that it's good down here. And if you're happy with it, I could see that it's okay, it looks good. We're gonna open it slowly so we don't disturb the bushing. After you close the door a few times and it auto aligns itself, inspect the bushing, make sure that nothing's hitting, nothing's freaking binding, the bolts that you just installed on the latch isn't scratching. And once everything's good, tighten it down just a tad. Top and then bottom, top and then bottom. This is how I like to do things. I don't want to like over tighten one part and then kind of warp the piece. So, okay, so that's pretty tight. It's not like gorilla tight, but it's tight. Now, we're gonna close the door again and see if it's nice and clean. After you install the bushing and the dovetail, and then you close it, open it, close it, open it a few times, you wanna make sure that there's no scratching or gouging on the body here. If you have gouging here, that means this thing's not perfectly aligned with the dovetail. So all you have to do, it's an easy fix, undo these bolts, close and open the door a few times, make sure it's aligned, and then cinch the top and then the bottom slowly in sequence, because if you just blast the top, it might tweak it, all right? And I noticed that earlier. If I just cinch down the top all the way, it'll tweak. So what you want to do is cinch the top slowly, bottom slowly, and then just go up and down, up and down. This is just hand tight. There's really no crazy torque spec for these things. It's probably like inch-pounds, but I just make it hand tight and you should be good. There are a bunch of options for door bushings in the market, including the garage star one that I have right here, but the Moss one, the COBALT, I like it better because the D shape, all right, it's the same shape as the dovetail. This one's kind of, you know, I think this is a copy of the OEM shape, which is totally fine, but the D shape is much preferable for me because it engages the dovetail all the way around, not just the top, bottom, and the side. And the Garage Star one is a little bit thinner. Does that make a difference? I have no idea, but I like the thicker unit right here because I know it engages the door latch or the dovetail all the way around. So with the new dovetail installed, I'm going to show you how the Garage Star one pops in. There you go. As you can see, it's only engaging in the front, the top, and the bottom, but not on the corners, okay? Now, with the COBALT one, it engages this whole section all the way around, which is preferable because now you're spreading the load all the way around, plus now it's a better fit. I'm not, saying that the COBALT one's better, but just by looking at this, I prefer the other one better. Will they function the same? Probably. It's preference.